There is so much going on in CODZA right now. Hello and welcome to episode 9 of the After Action Report. As always, my name is Shani today, and I know my setup looks a little bit different. There's a video coming out next week regarding all of that and the changes and everything. Also notice fancy new lens, fancy new setup. Anyway, besides the point, that is not obviously what I'm here to talk about. I am here to talk about what is happening in Call of Duty. I did take a little bit of a break last week because I was dealing with some stuff, and also there was just so much announced by Friday or / on Friday that the episode I had recorded was completely null and void. Like, the information that I included in it was so stale that I didn't even want to post it. So yeah, let's start off by chatting about the game. So obviously, first massive thing that I do need to address is that CODZA is finally back for South African PlayStation players. It is back in the featured playlist. We had solos for, I want to say, 5 weeks, which is quite ridiculous, but hey, whatever. If you're still wondering why they're doing that, I have left the link to the patch notes where they address it in the description below. There's always a ton of links in the description. It's always good to go check out what is useful and what isn't useful to you. I don't know. So that is something that I'm really stoked is back. Obviously, quads are way more enjoyable than solos, especially with solos where people were teaming up. So at least that alleviates it. With that said though, and speaking about Blackout and quads, Treyarch have released a new limited time playlist called Down But Not Out, where with each circle collapse, if you at least had one team member still alive, or one squad member still alive, you would all redeploy. Unfortunately, because we have a limited playlist here in our region, South Africa, and I know a bunch of other regions, to my knowledge, it doesn't look like we have it. So sad panda. I think that would have been kind of cool. Some really intense final circles. Hopefully that can be updated relatively soon so we do get a chance to play it before it does disappear. But that is as far as I know, we just have standard quads. We don't have Down But Not Out. But hopefully that comes back, or well, not that it comes back, hopefully that does come into our rotation. But I'm glad it's not solos. Like, I'm glad we're not stuck with solos. I'd rather just have normal quads than anything else, so let's be honest. We have a little bit less than a month to go if you're a PlayStation player. I know you've got like 40 days or something left for the tiers in the black market if you're on PC or Xbox, since you get it a week later than the rest of us. But you should be well and truly on your way into those tiers. I'm on like tier 85 at the moment, 86, I'm not entirely sure. I did miss out on the 2 weeks while I was away, so I've been trying to desperately make up for that. Obviously, the last weapon is tier number 100. But I asked on Twitter what levels people are in the black market, and so many people are so far behind. And I'm just like, do I really play that much Call of Duty? Really? And I was away for 2 weeks. Like, that's crazy. I know other people are nearing tier 200, so kudos to you. I really enjoyed the Operation Zero tiers. I thought there was so much stuff that was of value to grind for. Awkward, I forgot to talk about the new Blackout looting system that has been implemented in the most recent updates. Long story short, I really dig it a lot. I do like that you can see everything in whatever you're looting straight off the bat. That is the game, and let's move on to the mountain of stuff we need to talk about in the scene. The scene, there is so much, and so it's like tons happening that I'm going to try get through this as quickly as possible. Obviously, registrations opened and then closed for stuff like VS and for Medal State, so I will be leaving links to all of those tournament details in the description below. Then, of course, ACGL is in full swing, and they are doing the mostest, they're like the hostesses for the mostesses when it comes to esports in South Africa in general. So even if you're watching this, you're not necessarily a COD person, they do Fortnite, they do FIFA, they do a ton of stuff, so go check them out as well. They've got a bunch of 2v2s, they have 5v5s, they obviously always have the events throughout the year, so ACGL are doing the most. They also got a really new kick-ass website, so go check that out and make your own profile if you haven't already. The Ace Joburg LAN has been announced with kind of like, I want to say a last minute announcement, because it was announced like beginning of the week, and now it's happening tomorrow / Saturday this week. That link is going to be in the description below. Raving Mad have announced their league / tournament thing, so I will be putting that in the description below. As I have been saying, the description has got tons of stuff in it that if you're looking for something COD related, go check that out. Also, side note about ACGL, they don't only do COD for PlayStation, they do COD for Xbox as well, which is pretty cool. But the PC players aren't exactly forgotten about either. I know Aiming Anonymous has launched a Facebook page with a bunch of information about the stuff that they're doing around the PC gaming. Obviously, I mentioned in the last episode or the previous episode about how VS are trying to rekindle the PC scene as well. So there's a tournament running for that as well, or at least for the year. So once again, description, just go check it out. Then finally, to wrap up all of the tournaments and stuff that are happening apart from scrims and scenes and stuff, I just wanted to have a little bit of a shout out to SA COD Battles. They are currently grinding so hard and doing so much. I say they, I think pretty sure it's one person, but SA COD Battles, I did see that they had their first pay to enter tournament recently, so kudos to you guys. Carry on doing the things that you're doing, getting players into that mindset to be playing more Black Ops 4, which is obviously what you want to see. You really love to see it. And yeah, let's move on to chatting about the teams. Now, I have so much stuff has been going on. I obviously asked in my previous video about, guys, please help me. There are so many teams and so many changes and so many free agents announcements. So 2 teams that I do want to say I have noticed drop out and have like disbanded. Astra, first of all, I do have official confirmation from them that Astra is not going to be competing this season. They obviously try to make a comeback. They didn't even start competing. They like made a big noise about it and how Astra's coming back. People were coming out of retirement. Then they realized, maybe not. So unfortunate to see them kind of disband. Another team where I saw free agent announcements and then I just haven't seen a new roster get announced for it. So I don't know if they're planning on reforming a roster later in the year or later towards the end of the season or through the duration of the season, is Royal, which if you go watch back or if you have been watching previous episodes, you would know that Royal were one of the like standout teams to start off the season. Now obviously with those teams disbanding and becoming free agents and splitting up, there have been a ton of different like roster changes. I can't chat about absolutely every single roster that I have had submitted, but obviously there are rosters that I do want to chat about and I do want to speak about certain roster changes and roster moves. First team that I want to chat about is Energy Esports. Their roster now consists of Frosty, Mickey, Heroes, Sharky, and Waffle, who has moved over from Evo. And speaking of Evo, Kalanko, who was obviously on Energy, has now moved over to Evo. So the Evo roster is now Vexo, Kalanko, Cerberus, and we'll chat about that in a bit. Carez, Koala, and Menzenko, who I'm assuming is a reserve, but I could be mistaken. So if you're from Evo, please let me know. That'd be great. But that little bit of a, hey, what is Bravado Cerberus doing playing for Evo? Yeah, there's been a change in the Bravado camp as well, where their roster is now Lithium, Inferno, Scorpius, Rahil, and Cobs. So Cerberus, obviously a long-time member of Bravado. He was on the series earlier in one of the earlier episodes where I interviewed the Bravado guys. So good luck to him in his new team, and obviously good luck to Bravado, including a new team member, which it's gonna go one of 2 ways, and hopefully it goes really, really great for them. Then if we look at Vinco, we now have Java, Tipman, Scheme, Skara, and Jarfs. Then a roster that I did say was coming back because they released a thing and then they didn't have a roster just yet, or it didn't have an official roster announced just yet, is Origin Esports. So they are now made up of Enigma, Loyal, Eros, Zinni, Lau, and Nato. Nato, I'm assuming, is a reserve or a coach. I don't know. That is a role that he did play on a previous team. Finally, the team that has changed probably so many times. Shame, not so many times, but there was trials under the organization, so I announced it, and then they were like, no, we're still hosting trials to find out who exactly the roster is that's going to be representing us this season. I finally have a confirmed, hopefully final roster for Ventus, and those players are Redem, Keegs, Rift, Liquido, and Bliss. So those are just some of the very many roster changes that have taken place over the past like month. CODZA is always changing and is forever moving and like growing and doing stuff. I do obviously want to make a huge shout out, considering that how many teams we had registered for VS, how many teams we have registered for Metal States. Good luck to absolutely everyone competing this season, regardless of which tournament you're taking part in. Even if it's just something like SA COD Battles, where you're just trying to keep your shot on during the week, not necessarily playing for money, but still getting that time in the saddle. I really love to see how many teams have been formed. I know there was a little bit of a thing about new orgs being formed and stuff like that. I'm all for growth. I'm all for CODZA having more teams, to have more entrants, to have more reasons to have longer leagues and leagues with bigger prize pools and obviously more tournaments. So that is just all of the stuff that I wanted to chat about this week. I am trying to keep these episodes a little bit shorter, so you'll notice last week's episode or the previous episode didn't have plays in. This episode is run on a little bit too long for my liking, so won't have plays in, but I do have something very special in planned. I'm not getting rid of the plays that have been submitted. I am holding on to them for something very special, which you will see in the future. I'm not going to chat about meta because CWL is currently happening. It is the qualifiers for the Pro League, so that is currently happening over, it's been happening during the week and will carry on over into the weekend. So it's really good to have a lot of COD happening both locally and internationally. There is definitely no lack of streams. I'm going to leave a bunch of links in the description below as well. Once again, guys, description. All of the stuff is down there that you need to know. Discords, everything, the links to VS, Mental State, ACGL, all of the people doing stuff for CODZA. Obviously, easiest thing is just to search that hashtag on Twitter. But that is going to be it from me for this episode of After Action Report. Let me know how you're feeling about the series, how you're enjoying it, what you would like to see different, what you would like to see changed. Do you like the more condensed version? I am trying to make it as condensed as possible, but sometimes there's just so much that I need to chat about that unfortunately this is the length that they have to be sometimes. But that is going to be it from me. I hope you obviously did enjoy. Make sure to leave a like if you did. Subscribe if you're new around here. I hope you are playing as close to 0 ping as possible, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Cheers!